All right, guys. The wait is over. The winner, the 23-year-old from Huntersville, North Carolina, leading the pack and joining us in the Nonsense Garage, Harrison Burton.
That's right.
Everybody.
Thank you, guys.
How terrible was that lead difference?
That was awesome. I thought it was the best one. I've heard it probably 300 times. So dude, everyone yells at me now. It's Harrison Burton. The whole family. I thought Lee did awesome, man. He was like building his little Kyle Busch story up. He's like, it's been forever for Kyle Busch.
2008, he wins it. Turbocharger.
Yeah, he had his stats, man. He's like, Huntersville, North Carolina.
Dude,
it's cool.
Well, first off, congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming in studio.
Thanks for having me.
It's got to be surreal still. How's it feel?
It is surreal. It's very odd. For me, just the circumstances of the win, right? Like, I'm on my way out of that opportunity. Got told early in the year that, they're going in a different direction driver-wise. But then while that's going on, for our team to remain kind of unified, no one pointed a finger once. And between Jeremy and I, my crew chief, have a good relationship still. In what's been probably the hardest days of my life when things are not going well. I mean, I
can relate,
bro.
People
get it. People don't understand, is how hard this is, how much it takes, how much every duck needs to be kind of in a row for things to go well. And
there are about, 1,000 ducks.
Yeah, it's impossible, man. It's impossible. It's something that you don't understand until you get to Cup. Even when I was in Xfinity, I thought, man, when I get to Cup, I'll run really good and it'll be easy, blah, 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 blah. Those guys that run 20th every week, they're probably not very good. And then you get there and you're racing Denny Hamlin for 20th, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is hard. And you're racing different Cup guys that have been around forever for places that you never expected them to be in. You realize how competitive it is. And now with this new car, how close everyone is. You just have to be perfect to have a chance to win these races. And it was really, really special with the circumstances of going through that hardship. Remaining unified as a team, having a lot of love for the Wood brothers still to get them their 100th win, which if I left that opportunity and didn't get their 100th win, I don't think I would ever live that down. Like, that would have kept me up forever, just because it means so much to me, to them, and to have 3 years of a chance to do it and not do it would have probably just eaten me up from the inside. So really glad it happened.
Well, he's got some emotional equity there too, because he won 99 with Ryan. So I knew you were going to touch on that.
Yeah.
I think it's important to touch on what you said, at first, right? I think it's easy when teams see the end with a driver, or even like Jeremy's not signed to be the crew chief. It's easy to just kind of pack it in and have a bad attitude. And I said that before you got here. Like, I've never seen you when you come drive the pit stop car, you're around your guys. Like, I've never seen you not be happy, not have a smile on your face, not carry yourself well. And it trickles down to your team. Like, no matter what, when you get to the Cup level, if you're the driver, you have to be a leader.
Yes,
you have to figure out how you lead. And one thing that Jeremy Bolins doesn't get enough credit for is he is a very passionate leader, and he's an old school, gritty short track guy. Right? He's got some RCR in him
for sure.
Sure. But it's funny because I look at those guys, and it's got to be full circle for you, because some of those guys worked on your dad's car, did they not? Like your car chief Kirk, and it's been fun to watch you guys. Keep working together and keep building and keep figuring out how you're going to win. Because like we said, I was in your truck on Saturday before the Cup race, and I asked you guys, you going to win today? And Bolin says, that's the only reason we showed up.
That's right.
Like you've never wavered. How hard has that been to stay focused through that all?
It's hard. The hardest thing is you get in a situation like we're in, like you said, where nothing in the future is guaranteed, right? And it can easily take your attention from what you have now. I mean, what we have and had and continue to have is an opportunity to hop in the 21 car for the Wood brothers and race on Sundays. If you told me that when I was 12, I'd be like, this is amazing, right? Like, and you forget about that whenever you're caught up in, what's happening next year, what's happening the year after that, what am I going to do, blah, 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 blah.
Or even caught up in what happened.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you just forget. Sometimes you forget to have fun. And it's not something I say I've done well. It's it's been something that's wore me down a little bit, and I've taken some of the fun out of it when you're not winning. But then on the other side, when you do win, when you do succeed, and you've gone through just the crap that sometimes you go through in racing, and that's part of racing. It's hard. It should be hard. It makes it really, really special. So it's something I'll never forget. Just that feeling of overcoming that hardship.
I think so often, especially in the sport, fans only hear when things are good, right? They only hear from the winners.
Mm-hmm.
They only hear from the playoff guys. They only hear from the guys that have houses on the lake and planes to fly them to and from the racetrack, right? Like, relatively speaking, things look pretty good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Rarely do they talk to the Harrison Burtons when the team goes a different direction. The Corey LaJoy when the team decides to go a different direction. There is a level of like let down and like depression that sets in.
No doubt.
And you have to fight the feeling of being defeated. So how, because you sit here 2 days removed from winning, right?
Yeah.
But you were fighting that like crawl in a hole and die feeling.
Yeah, no doubt.
That everybody feels when you don't feel like you're good enough, or even you're told that you're not good enough because they're going to get somebody else.
Right.
You know? So how has that wrestle been for the last couple months?
Hard. It's been the hardest couple months of my life, probably. I mean, like you said, I mean, it's just hard to go to the shop. And, you know, I remember when they first announced it, going to the shop was different. It was like, oh my gosh, these are my last few times I get to do this. And these are the last few times I work with this exact team. This is the last few. And you just start to get sad, right? Just because I've, you know, like I said, I've got a good relationship with my team, and they've got they've stuck by me through some hard times, and that's been really fun. Not fun, but it's been motivating, I guess.
Fulfilling
for sure. That's a good word. My education needs to get better, but no, you know, it's hard to go to the shop and be a confident race car driver, right? Like what we do requires just the utmost confidence in yourself, requires the utmost confidence in your team and your car. And when, like you said, you are told, hey, you're not good enough for us next year, we're going to go someone else who we think is better. It's like, okay, how do I, A, internalize that, make peace with that, B, go
not
to the
believe
racetrack.
it.
Yeah, right. You have to not believe. You have to believe when you strap in that you're the best race car driver out there.
For sure.
And that's really hard to do. Sometimes you have to fake that until you feel that. I mean, for me, what was really special about the win was, we had a green-white checker. Kyle Busch is to my inside. Christopher Bell's, one behind him. And it's me, who is viewed as an underdog, definitely, and it probably was an underdog. And Parker Retzlaff, who's his second Cup career start in the outside row. And I could have told you that's how it was going to be, because I knew that Bell was going to choose to go to Busch because he's Cup champion, won races, and they wanted to work together. And then I knew Parker was in fourth, and he's going to come with me. I'm like, okay, here we go, underdog row, let's make it happen. And to beat those guys the way we did, to block Kyle to the end, almost crash, come across the line. I mean,
Before
it's
that,
chaos.
When you're rolling down the backstretch behind the pace car, or it's a green-white checkered, everything you've ever worked for in your entire life's in front of you.
Yeah.
You have to execute the launch. You have to keep your help attached. Like, what are some things that right? There's the noise and the hope and the thoughts of crossing the finish line first, but like, where was your mind when the pace car took a left?
Yeah, it was really fortunate because I had a full red flag, which was unfortunate because someone had flipped over and had a big crash. He was okay. So it was fortunate for me once they did have the red flag, because I got to sit right behind Kyle and think through 18 different scenarios. So I had a plan of, okay, if I get clear of Kyle, what am I going to do? Which lane am I going to block? When am I going to block which lane? What are the keys I'm looking for if I'm leading this race at the end? I had a plan for if Kyle got clear of me, how am I going to create a run on him, what I needed to do to the 20 car, and I was pretty convinced Kyle was going to stay committed to the help for the 20 car because he probably trusted him more than he trusted me, which really played to my favor, honestly.
Especially out of two.
Yeah, exactly. And what I needed to do to separate Kyle and the 20 car from, getting the help they needed and make it hard for them to link up. And
did it go how one of those 18 plans?
Absolutely. Yeah, until I got out front.
Yeah.
I didn't.
And you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I didn't plan for that. I was like, I know what I need to do to make that happen. And I've watched hours and hours and hours at the end of these races as film, and like just trying to see why guys win and lose. And normally it's the guys that can separate the guy in second from the guy in first in that line.
And then you happen to get a push at the right time.
Exactly. Like trying to time all that is really hard. So drag and break while I'm trying to side draft the 20 and like bring him back with me and then go forward. It worked out really, really well. And You know, like you said, I think Kyle, I mean, we had a really big run, so it would have been a hard block for Kyle to make anyway, but I think it helped me off turn 2 that, you know, I was kind of the underdog guy and he didn't trust me to push him, right? And he shouldn't, because I had a win or die mentality, and you know, got in front of him, and yeah, once I got clear, I was like, well, now what? This I didn't expect this.
Literally
and,
just out of the mirror.
Yeah, I never looked forward until I was. I felt I went across the apron because I was sideways, and I was like, "Oh God!" And
Let me look out the windshield now. Okay.
Yeah, and then looked forward across the line and won the race. And I've never cried on a cool down lap before, but I bawled my eyes out like a little girl.
Bro, you earned that cry.
It was awesome. I hate listening to my scream on the radio because I'm like so excited, and then you can tell I start to like cry in the scream a little bit, and I'm like, oh, it sounds so bad, but I don't know.
People don't know.
Yeah,
people don't know like the weight that you carry of the expectations for yourself, that you feel like you're letting yourself down, right? Because how your Cup career, and mostly mine, hasn't gone how you wanted it to go from the time you were a kid.
Yeah.
The expectations of your old man, mine too, right? I feel like I relate to you really well. And to have your old man in the booth too, cool. How special is that?
It was so cool. He's like the silent assassin whenever I'm leading, man. He's just up there. He puts the mute button on his mic, I think, and just steps back. And just got to watch the race back yesterday afternoon. Like, I watched the last stage back just to experience that. And it was so funny when I won. He didn't say a word for the longest time. And, like, even Lee's like, what do you think, Jeff? Like, say something. And he's like, I can't talk. And he's all fired up. And then they let him out of the booth and let him come down to front stretch. So I appreciate NBC for letting him, you know, kind of come out of the booth. And he was still on company hours, but he was celebrating with me. So that was cool. And yeah, it was just really neat. Like, just because he's been there, and, you know, with your dad as well, through every up and down. My dad has always been, you know, he describes himself as kind of a hard ass, right? Where, like, he was always hard on me as a kid. He was always made me earn what I got. And all those moments really helped me through a lot of the hardships I've had, where, okay, I've been through this before. I've had my dad yell at me before, and I can take criticism and move it positively. And I've relied on that a couple times in my career, and it's made me better. And then for him, he about broke my rib. He punched me so dang hard in the chest, and he's like, that's why you never quit, and started punching me in the chest. I'm like, I get it, man, thank you. But yeah, he had his dad strength on for that moment, but it was cool.
Have you talked to him, like, away from the track now that kind of the dust settles?
Yeah, a little bit. You know, just had a quick phone call with him yesterday. He drove back from Daytona. Him and my mom stayed out there, and
dude, Kim was so
she was
happy,
jacked up.
dude.
Yeah, she was fired up.
She was running. I get out of my car, and I was just like taking a lap around it, dude. And your mom, if Noah Lyles would have been running next to her, I think that she'd have dusted his ass, bro. She was flying.
Yes, man.
She was so happy. It was like that turned my frown upside down, seeing your mom running over there.
Man, it was cool.
Sure.
Yeah, she has a hard time hiding her emotions, as everyone knows, and she hates when she gets on TV, but you can't help but like it just because she's so emotional, so invested. Her and my dad have put everything into me that they can to make me the best person I can be, and yeah, to get a win for them. And then my fiance Jenna and her, like, hugging and jumping up and down on the pit box was really cool to see after. So all kinds of cool little memories like that you just take away from watching it back.
Well, I got one more question, but you said something I wanted to go back and touch on. You said they invested in making you the best person you could be.
Mm-hmm.
That's different from being the best race car driver you can be. So why do you say it like that?
It's hard. You put a lot of value as a race car driver in what that pylon says.
That's it, bro.
You look up after the race, and if it says 10th, you're like, oh, cool, I'm a good person.
Yeah.
If it says 20th, you're like,
I kind of suck.
Dang it.
Yeah.
And you just carry that. And they've really...
Every week,
man. And it carries to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and sometimes Thursday, and then you try
then
and
you
let it go
then
Friday.
you start hit the recycle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you hope it's on the good side that week.
But more than likely, it's probably not.
Right. And, you know, it's just that feeling of that they have always really pushed me to handle things the right way. feel like I've been raised to treat everyone the right way, and I think that's why I had a lot of drivers after the race come say hi. I had you text me, had a lot of drivers text me, had Bubba Wallace and Ross Chastain, who that really hurt their playoff hopes. Both came to Victory Lane. Ryan Blaney hung out with us for like an hour in Victory Lane, passing beers out to everyone, hanging out, because he was number 99 and loves the Wood Brothers. And that feeling of like, I feel like I did it the right way. I feel like I've handled myself the right way, and I don't want to ever point fingers at people, and I want to internalize it, which makes it harder because that means you're looking at yourself in the mirror every time something goes bad. But it also makes it better because when you can genuinely enjoy a moment like that with the people that you've been around, it makes it very fun because they know that you have done nothing but try and support them as much as they've supported you, and it's been cool.
Yeah, that's I think you've handled this. I said it earlier, like you've handled this better than anybody I've ever seen deal with it. And I said, like, if my kid acted like that, I'd be proud of it. But how did you handle after winning and last night? Were you hungover? What did it look like? Because I heard that your presser went really long, and everybody was waiting on John Wood to get back to the plane. So everybody's busting his chops, and then you guys didn't get home till like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, we landed at like 3:15, and then it's like a 45, 50-minute drive to my house. So I got home at like 4:05. Walked in the door, and I had a couple friends that were still up in my house and had like put some streamers up and stuff. I was like, okay, here we go. Todd was sitting there with a tequila bottle in his hand when I walked in, and I'm like, oh boy.
What's your drink? What's your drink of choice?
I didn't have my drink of choice at all last night, or not last night.
Whatever was handed to you.
Whatever was handed to me. But I love, I like an old fashioned. It's probably my favorite drink.
Okay.
But
you can't really go all night on old fashioned.
No. So I had a mixture of beer, tequila, vodka, a lot of stuff. But
Todd Gillen, big what's that drink that you got him?
Oh gosh,
Shirley Temple
guy. Shirley Temple King,
big Shirley Temple guy. But
I got him. I saw him at Steak 48. Did you hear the story?
No,
I saw him at Steak 48 last year sometime. He was like behind me. Kelly was like, I think that's Todd. I looked over. I'm like, send him a Shirley Temple, and he was like, dude, how'd you know? I was like, no, what? I love Shirley Temple. I was like, well, I said it as a joke, but I hope you enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, no, definitely a big Shirley Temple guy. But no, he was excited. I meant a lot. Him, Sheldon Creed were both in my house just sitting there. Like, it's like 4 in the morning. Nobody else was there, but they were just like, nice. So that was cool. And then we didn't go to sleep till like 6:30. I woke up at like 8, and then I spent that day just basically chilling out, watching the race back. Went to hang out with my sister, picked up my dog. She was dog sitting for me, so shout out to Paige. And hung out and watched a truck race at her house, and then hung out with my grandparents and went home and slept. Slept. So nice, calm Sunday after a very late Saturday night.
Well, I got several more questions, but I'm going to ask you the 3.
Okay.
And if we got time, I'm going to ask you one that's been pressing. But the 3 questions that all the guests get. Number 1, what is your first – I'm sorry. If you had to pick one car and one track to race at the rest of your life, what do you race with?
Ooh, I'm racing the Cup cars from 20 – ooh, that's a good question. Like 2014, that era?
Yeah.
High horsepower, high downforce.
I feel like that was post-COT.
Yeah, right, post-COT.
Yeah.
And a big they're turning like 10,000 RPM rolling.
Where at?
Darlington.
Like a repaved Darlington?
No. Current Darlington.
Okay.
We're out Darlington. Ooh. Yeah.
I like that one. Your most embarrassing moment at the racetrack?
Oh, gosh. When I was a kid, I spun out leaving pit road to qualify for a super late model race. I was leaving pit road, and super late model tires, when they're cold, have like negative grip.
Yeah.
And so I was swerving back and forth, and I hit the gas while I was swerving, just spun out, and I was sitting on the back stretch like, oh, God. And then went back around. It actually worked out. Got more heat in my tires and went and like qualified like 5th or something, like not bad. And but I remember spinning out and just feeling like an idiot.
I plugged one of my first super late model qualifying experience at Hickory. Stuffed it in rough.
Oh, I did. Well, that's another one. This was pretty embarrassing too. In practice at the Snowball Derby, plugged one in the fence.
Yeah, then you guys worked all night, put a clip on it, and the whole thing.
Made the show the next day, so it wasn't as embarrassing. It was actually cool because we made the show, but yeah, it was fun.
And then I feel like this is low hanging fruit, but I ask everybody if I had like the Men in Black pen and zapped all of your racing memories, but you had to
gosh.
keep one, what do you keep?
I'm keeping definitely on Saturday night, Daytona win, Wood Brothers 100th win. If you told me that when I was a kid that I could do that, win at Daytona, I would do that.
What about even more of a like a precise, like a 5-minute window
Ooh.
of that night?
Probably the feeling of crossing the line. Like, that's a feeling that is, dude, so nice. Is like when you, and it would probably not be as good because all the memories of what led up to it would be zapped. But that feeling of like when you cross the line, you won the race. And every time I've ever won, I'd scream so hard in the race car, I lose my voice. This time I cried. It's just this release of just so much emotion, and just winning is just unbeatable, man. It's so fun.
Well, congrats, buddy. You
Thank
earned
you.
it.
Appreciate
but
it.
one more question. Plans for next year?
Yeah.
Not announced. Do you have an idea of what you're doing? You nod your head yes. What is your opinion, right? There's always the age-old question. Do you go down? Do you go in something you go in races and then try to get to a B-level or A-level car? How have you always perceived that argument?
Differently at different times.
Yeah.
For me right now, I want to go somewhere I feel like there's a future of winning races. I feel like that's the biggest thing for me is where can I go that A, believes in me, wants me as their driver, wants to build around me for their future, sees a future of winning, and then, B, the series matters, but after that first one, it doesn't matter as much, right? Because all this stuff is very, very fluid. Things move. I remember when I was 16, I was supposed to be the best driver ever. When I was 18, I was the worst driver ever. When I was 20, I was the best driver ever. And now that I'm 23, I was the worst driver ever until I
Wait till
won.
you're 32.
And then when I'm 32, I don't know what I'll be. I might be cup champion. I might be on the couch. No idea. So I want to win races. I want to go have fun and make the most out of this career that I can and just enjoy it every step that I can, because you just never know. My dad beat this into my brain when I was a kid, and it was driving a race car is always a privilege. It's never a right. So I want to have the privilege to try and win races. That's what motivates me.
I want to ask the question everybody wants to know. Did Uncle Ward call?
Yeah, I just got off the phone with him on the way. Oh, well, good job, boy. I just wanted to say I'm proud of you and feel like you done a good job. And man, he was probably out in the field somewhere because it was a quick phone call. He was working, but he said, I'm just proud of you, man. You've been through hard times just like Jeb, and you guys both fought through.
He's
He's the
big
best.
old-
Man, it always had to be the Wood Brothers with Virginia family at Daytona getting their 100th win. Like when you look at when you take a step back from the fire and look at the storylines, it's like, man, NASCAR always gives
Always
storylines.
delivers.
It always delivers, man. It's sports, man. Sports are so special. Just proud to have a job being a part of the one that we're in.
Well, that's Harrison Burton, guys. First career win, 98 races in. Playoff contender in that Wood Brothers 21. Harrison,
Let's go.
thank you for jumping in the
Thank you,
studio
guys.
with us. Good luck this
Appreciate
weekend at
you.
Darlington.
Yes, sir. You too. See you there.
Congratulations.